Hi there, and thank you for settling in with us tonight. As the world outside grows quieter and your thoughts begin to slow, we're about to drift far beyond the familiar paths of Earth, past the orbit of Mars, past Jupiter, into a region of space that few have dared to explore in detail. Tonight, we are leaving behind the ordinary and stepping into a story that is equal parts wonder and unease. This is the story of 3I Atlas, and now, unexpectedly, its twin. You might think you have seen every strange object that drifts silently through our solar system. You might believe that the rules of physics, chance, and cosmic probability are sufficient to explain the rare visitors that wander between stars. You might even convince yourself that humanity is prepared for the unexpected. But tonight, as you settle deeper into your chair, your mind tracing the vast arcs of space, you will realize that 3I Atlas is about to challenge every assumption you have made. And now, it is not alone. Somewhere beyond the orbit of Jupiter, a second interstellar visitor has appeared, a twin to 3I Atlas, and its behavior is more perplexing, more unnerving than anyone could have predicted. The discovery was subtle, almost imperceptible at first. Observatories reported an unusual elongation in brightness across multiple bands of the spectrum, a slight divergence from the trajectory expected if this were a simple fragment or fragmenting comet. But when combined with the original 3I Atlas data, the patterns form a staggering mosaic. Both objects seem to be in communication, or at least acting in a way that suggests coordination. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, in a private briefing circulated among select researchers, calculated the combined probability of two such objects arriving from the same region of interstellar space within months of each other and aligned nearly perfectly with the ecliptic plane. The result, a 1 in 2 million chance. 1 in 2 million. And then there is the chemistry. Observatories using the James Webb Space Telescope detected unusual ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice in the twin object, almost identical to its counterpart, at distances where sublimation should be negligible. Nickel and other industrial signatures appear again, without the accompanying iron that would be expected from natural processes. These anomalies suggest a deliberate design, or at the very least, a natural process that is beyond any framework we currently understand. Imagine, as you close your eyes, drifting alongside these twin interstellar visitors, icy cores gleaming faint green in the weak sunlight, silently weaving a pattern that has been billions of years in the making. Each rotation, each outgassing, each trajectory subtly nudges the other, hinting at intelligence or intent. And as the sun rises on October 29th, the moment of perihelion draws near. You begin to understand the gravity of what we are witnessing. This is no ordinary comet. This is a cosmic twinship, a duet from the void, arriving at a moment that feels almost orchestrated. And you, lying there in the quiet dark, are about to witness a story that will stretch the very definition of what it means to be prepared. No one expected to see a second 3I Atlas appearing just months after the first. The telescopes, scattered across the northern and southern hemispheres, first picked up its faint light on August 14th, 2025, when it was well beyond Saturn's orbit. At first, astronomers assumed it was a distant asteroid, a random wanderer. The brightness was low, almost imperceptible, and its motion appeared linear, the typical ballistic path expected from objects passing through the outer solar system. Yet when tracking data from 142 observatories were compiled, a pattern emerged. Its trajectory mirrored the first three Eye Atlas so closely that probability alone could not explain the alignment. Within the precision of astrometric calculations, it was as though the cosmos had duplicated the visitor, a twin that had arrived to follow the same path. You watch as the orbital plane comes into focus, the path nearly identical to its predecessor, aligned within 2 degrees of the ecliptic. The implications are immediate and staggering. Alignment with the solar system's primary plane is rare. 2 interstellar objects doing so simultaneously is astronomically improbable. R.V. Loeb, once again running the numbers in his office at Harvard, estimated the odds: 1 in 2 million. The mind recoils at the simplicity of the numbers and the complexity of the reality. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers begin posting enhanced images, noting the subtle greenish glow reminiscent of its counterpart. This is no ordinary reflection of sunlight. No comet at that distance should display detectable outgassing, let alone a hue consistent across 2 massive objects, separated by millions of kilometers. As you imagine drifting alongside these twin interstellar wanderers, notice the absence of expected cometary behavior. Outgassing is present, measurable, even from Earth-based instruments, yet the acceleration from the thrust is negligible. It is as though the mass of these objects defies calculation, resisting physical forces with a steadfastness that challenges classical physics. Observers at the Very Large Telescope in Chile report nickel anomalies identical to those recorded in the first 3 Eye Atlas. Again, without iron, in proportionate amounts. The signature screams industrial, but the source remains unfathomable. If these are natural bodies, nature itself has learned to refine metals without heat, without smelting, across billions of years in interstellar space. And then there is the timing, a sequence of planetary encounters that stretches belief. The twins' path will bring it within 0.2 astronomical units of Mars, just 3 days after its predecessor's perihelion. Venus, Jupiter, and even Earth's orbital corridor fall into a rhythm suggesting coordination, not random chance. Statistical calculations place the probability of such precision at roughly 1 in 20,000. And as you imagine looking from above the solar system, these twin objects weave an intricate ballet, each rotation and orbital correction suggesting intelligence or at least purpose. Amid the data, consider the human element. 15,000 NASA employees furloughed for budgetary reasons, just as both objects approach critical observational windows. The silence from space agencies is deafening. Yet amateurs, astrophotographers, and citizen scientists assemble faint smudges, cylindrical shapes, and spectral anomalies. The twins are behaving as if aware of our instruments, as if hiding or revealing in measured pulses, communicating through their motion and emission patterns, subtle yet deliberate. Remote viewers report thumb drive-sized devices embedded within the icy cores, broadcasting impulses aligned with the WOW signal origin. Multiple independent groups corroborate these impressions, suggesting consistency across observations, psychic and scientific. Imagine the cometary twin approaching the inner solar system, each perihelion a test of endurance, each emission a confession. You feel the weight of probability and anomaly, the tension between natural expectation and impossibility. The twin seems to anticipate solar radiation, to use it for propulsion, for activation, a charging mechanism orchestrated over billions of kilometers. Your mind drifts through the data, mass calculations exceeding 33 billion tons, trajectory alignment with retrograde motion, optimized for planetary surveying, anomalous chemistry, and polarization signatures, unique in all observational history. And still, you follow the narrative in your mind, tracing the cosmic dance, feeling the quiet hum of interstellar physics, bending around an object that might be technological, deliberate, alive. You begin to recognize that what we are witnessing is not merely a coincidence or an anomaly. It is the opening act of a story billions of years in the making, the arrival of twin 3I Atlas objects poised at the edge of understanding, a challenge to every assumption you have ever held about space, life, and cosmic intention. The night sky hums with imperceptible energy as you track the second 3I Atlas, its faint green glow dancing against the backdrop of distant stars. Observatories note its velocity, remarkably consistent with the first object, a retrograde motion that defies intuitive understanding. Every orbital parameter, every rotational axis, aligns with the previously recorded 3I Atlas, suggesting a level of synchronicity that borders on intentionality. As your mind drifts along this invisible highway, imagine the scale of this twin, each kilometer of icy surface radiating subtle energy, every pulse of emitted gas calculated to perfection. The statistical odds of two massive interstellar objects arriving so closely aligned are so infinitesimal that conventional explanations falter. You feel the enormity of the situation. The twins' approach, measured in astronomical units, is precise to within fractions of a percent. High-resolution instruments detect unexpected emissions, a delicate stream of carbon dioxide outgassing, precisely matching the earlier patterns, water vapor following a mirrored trajectory, and minute traces of nickel rising exponentially without accompanying iron. Such chemical signatures challenge everything you know about natural interstellar chemistry. There is a precision here that seems engineered, as if these objects were constructed to obey rules that only an advanced intelligence could have imposed. Observations from the Hubble Space Telescope and the James Webb Space Telescope converge, confirming the twins' properties. Despite significant outgassing, neither object deviates from its gravitational path in any detectable way. The forces at play should have produced measurable acceleration, yet the trajectories remain stable. Your imagination cannot help but compare this to trying to push a cruise ship with a leaf blower. The mass is so great, the engineered symmetry so perfect, that conventional physics seems almost inadequate. 33 billion tons is a number that repeats in your mind, the lower bound of mass needed to explain the behavior, a figure that dwarfs anything previously catalogued among interstellar visitors. As you drift further into thought, consider the historical and mythic echoes. Ancient texts, once dismissed as metaphor, now seem curiously prescient. Sumerian and Mesopotamian accounts describe sky gods returning from Sagittarius with precision timing, overseeing transformations of worlds. The first 3I Atlas aligned with these references, and now the twin arrives following the same interstellar vector. This is not coincidence. Your mind registers the possibility that human civilization is witnessing the continuation of an ancient cosmic project, a deliberate orchestration unfolding over millennia. NASA and ESA remain silent, their professional networks stripped down to essential operations. 15,000 personnel furloughed at critical observational moments. Amateur astronomers fill the void, stacking images, enhancing contrast, revealing the subtle geometry of these twin bodies. Cylindrical forms, elongated cores, rotating with a precision that belies natural formation. Remote viewers report internal technological structures, thumb drive-sized devices embedded within the icy matrix, broadcasting impulses corresponding to signals detected decades ago, possibly the infamous WOW signal of 1977. The synchronization between observer data and remote viewing impressions grows impossible to ignore. Imagine standing near the orbit of Jupiter, the twin 3-eye atlas, passing silently, each rotation revealing subtle variations in emitted light, each plume of gas a message in a cosmic language you are only beginning to comprehend. You can almost feel the interaction between the two objects, gravitationally negligible yet dynamically significant, as if one subtly adjusts to the other's trajectory, maintaining a delicate interstellar dance. These are not chaotic wanderers. They are deliberate, synchronized, and on a path that brings them through the inner solar system at a time that maximizes observational impossibilities. The upcoming perihelion, October 29th, looms as the critical moment. Both objects will approach within 1.44 astronomical units of the Sun, near Mars's orbit, where solar radiation becomes overwhelming. Temperatures spike, volatile chemistry is activated, and every structural stress within the twin objects reaches a climax. If they are natural, this will be the grand reveal of cometary magnificence, sublimating ice, dust plumes, a spectacular tail extending millions of kilometers. But if there is intentionality, the perihelion becomes the moment of activation, energy harvesting, trajectory adjustment, or the release of miniature probes capable of interacting with planets with mathematical precision. And so you drift, observing the cosmic choreography, aware that everything in your perception of probability, physics, and interstellar behavior is being rewritten. The twin 3-eye atlas are simultaneously a natural spectacle, a technological enigma, and a mythic echo. Their passage challenges the boundaries of comprehension, leaving you suspended between wonder and unease. You follow the data, the images, the chemical signatures, the remote viewer reports, and you realize that nothing observed so far prepares you for what may unfold in the coming weeks. The outer planets seem almost motionless as the twin 3-eye atlas drifts closer, a ghostly silhouette against the faint glow of the distant Sunday. You track its path with a mixture of awe and unease, noting that every calculation of velocity, inclination, and rotation matches the trajectory of its sibling so precisely that conventional astrophysics struggles to offer explanations. Observatories across 5 continents report subtle anomalies in light scattering, a sunward glow that defies the expected behavior of ice sublimation. The twins' presence is undeniable, yet it remains cloaked in mystery, a celestial enigma teasing your comprehension. You consider the timing. October 29th approaches, the day when perihelion will expose both objects to intense solar radiation, forcing the secrets they carry to reveal themselves. Historically, comets reveal their composition, texture, and activity during such moments. But these twins are no ordinary comets. The mass calculations alone suggest a lower bound exceeding 33 billion tons each. Outgassing is present but insufficient to alter trajectory, suggesting either extraordinary density or an internal mechanism countering the natural thrust. Your mind reels as you imagine what would happen if a humanoid observer could stand beside them, witnessing the balance of forces, the perfect synchronization, the subtle nudges that maintain their cosmic dance. As you trace the orbits in your mind, consider the alignment with Mars. The first 3I Atlas passed within 29 million kilometers. The twin will follow just days later. Venus and Jupiter also lie along the projected paths, creating a sequence that appears almost choreographed. Avi Loeb emphasizes the improbability in private discussions, 1 in 20,000 for timing alone, and when combined with trajectory alignment, mass, chemical anomalies, and sunward emission, the probability collapses to near impossibility. You feel the weight of those numbers pressing against intuition, forcing a reconsideration of the cosmos as purely random. And the chemistry is just as disturbing. Observatories, using the James Webb Space Telescope, detected identical ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice in the twin, along with nickel in isolation, repeating the industrial fingerprint first observed. There is no natural precedent for such composition, particularly at distances where sublimation should be negligible. Polarimetric studies reveal unique inversions, negative 2.77% polarization at a phase angle of 7 degrees, precisely mirroring the first 3I Atlas. Every detail reinforces the suggestion that these objects are constructed, or at the very least, designed to appear identical. A deliberate pairing. Remote viewers provide another layer of insight. Birdie Yorsky and several independent teams report internal technological components, thumb drive-sized devices buried in the icy matrix, broadcasting pulses in real time. Multiple independent viewers describe humanoid forms interacting with the devices, subtle markings, and extraction points designed for information transfer. These accounts, while outside conventional science, align uncannily with the physical anomalies, creating a triangulation of evidence that is difficult to dismiss entirely. Your imagination traces the logic. 2 objects, traveling billions of kilometers, carrying identical chemical and technological signatures, timed precisely to the planetary dance. The silence from official agencies amplifies the mystery. NASA and ESA remain largely mute, releasing only basic confirmations of observation while withholding images. 15,000 personnel furloughed just as the twins approach the critical observational window. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists fill the void, stacking images, analyzing spectral data, enhancing faint smudges into cylindrical forms. You feel the tension between what is known and what is hidden, the deliberate absence of clarity intensifying the unease. Imagine standing near the sun, feeling its overwhelming heat as both 3I Atlas objects approach perihelion. Temperatures spike. Solar radiation pounds the surfaces with energy measured in gigawatts. If natural, the objects might fragment, outgas, reveal internal structure in a spectacular display. If intentional, this is the moment of activation, energy harvesting, trajectory adjustment, or probe deployment. The twins are poised at the edge of physics and possibility, ready to reveal secrets hidden for billions of years. As your mind drifts along these cosmic highways, consider the implications. Two massive interstellar objects, synchronized in motion, chemistry, and emission, moving through the solar system with an almost intentional elegance, hint at intelligence, planning, or technology far beyond human understanding. You follow their paths, trace their rotations, feel the vast scales, and begin to comprehend that what you are witnessing is more than anomaly. It is a cosmic revelation, a prelude to discoveries that may forever redefine the boundary between natural and engineered, chance and intention, observer and observed. The universe feels impossibly vast as you follow the twin 3I Atlas objects, drifting silently through the solar system. Instruments on Earth and in orbit attempt to measure, to quantify, to categorize, yet every data set deepens the mystery rather than resolving it. The second 3I Atlas mirrors the first, every rotation, every orbital parameter in near-perfect synchrony, as if a hidden hand is guiding both from beyond our comprehension. You watch the light scattering, the faint green glow reflecting off the icy surfaces, and notice that the sunward emission is inconsistent with any known cometary physics. It stretches nearly 10 times further toward the sun than sideways, a directional anomaly defying radiation pressure models. Your mind considers the implications. These are not ordinary interstellar visitors. The probability of such synchronized arrival, trajectory, and behavior collapses conventional statistical reasoning. Nickel emissions continue without corresponding iron, the industrial fingerprint repeated in both objects, an impossible coincidence if left to natural processes alone. Polarimetric measurements show negative 2.77% polarization at a phase angle of 7 degrees, identical in both, a pattern unseen anywhere else in the solar system. Imagine, for a moment, floating above Mars, observing these two twin wanderers, each emitting subtle pulses of energy, each moving as if aware of the other's position, their orbital dance perfectly aligned with the ecliptic plane. Remote viewing adds another dimension to this observation. Birdie Jaworski and several independent groups report small, thumb drive-sized technological components embedded deep within the icy cores. These devices are transmitting pulses, some aligning with historical signals, like the WOW signal from 1977, suggesting communication across light years and decades. Observers describe humanoid forms interacting with these devices, minute markings, and extraction points, details that hint at deliberate, intelligent placement. Each new session uncovers additional layers, miniature probes, potential surveillance technologies, and faint electromagnetic emissions, all concealed within an otherwise seemingly natural comet. Your mind cannot help but follow the timing. The twins' perihelion approaches on October 29th, 2025, positioning both objects just inside Mars's orbit at approximately 1.44 astronomical units from the Sunday. This is not a distant brush with solar radiation. This is immersion in a furnace of energy capable of altering every exposed surface. Heat spikes, causing volatiles to sublimate, but the acceleration is minimal, reinforcing the calculations that mass must exceed 33 billion tons. The objects appear to resist the natural push of emitted gas, a mechanical stability that suggests density, internal reinforcement, or propulsion systems entirely beyond human capability. While the world watches silently, amateur astronomers and citizen scientists become the first interpreters of these anomalies. Images from Perseverance's Mastcam-Z and high-resolution instruments on Earth show faint smudges enhanced to reveal cylindrical structures. Each observer notes the uncanny symmetry between the twins, the near-identical geometries, and the subtle sunward glow. In parallel, agency silence deepens, reinforcing suspicion. NASA's 15,000 furloughed personnel, ESA's reduced operational capacity, all occurring at the exact critical observational window, creates a void where amateur observations become the only source of public knowledge. You imagine standing at the Martian surface, observing the twin 3I Atlas objects from orbit. The light is dim, diffuse, yet carries measurable energy. The rotational patterns suggest intent or design. The chemical signature hints at technology or artificial refinement. The timing of planetary encounters, particularly with Venus and Jupiter, aligns with calculations that would maximize efficiency for survey, reconnaissance, or deployment missions, nearly impossible to achieve by natural chance. You feel the weight of the improbability, the tension between expected natural behavior and the anomalies that defy explanation. As perihelion draws nearer, anticipation grows. The twin objects approach the Sun with a silent majesty, each rotation revealing subtle pulses of light, each sublimation event a potential signal. If natural, they will reveal ice, dust, and classic cometary activity in spectacular fashion. If intentional, they could activate energy harvesting systems, deploy small probes to intercept planets, or adjust trajectory with mathematical precision. Observers can only speculate, constrained by the limits of visibility and technology. You imagine the hidden mechanisms at work, a cosmic choreography that has unfolded over billions of kilometers, billions of years, arriving at this critical juncture. Meanwhile, humanity remains a silent observer. Remote viewers continue to report consistent impressions, technological devices, humanoid activity, and communication pulses that corroborate physical anomalies. The twin 3I Atlas are synchronized not only with each other, but with human observational schedules, planetary positions, and solar exposure. Every observation challenges what you believe about natural interstellar objects, the probability of coincidence, and the potential for intelligence operating on scales and timescales far beyond human comprehension. And as you drift with the twin objects through the darkness of the outer solar system toward the furnace of perihelion, you realize that what you are witnessing is neither ordinary nor entirely comprehensible. The twin 3I Atlas objects are more than anomalies. They are a prelude, a message, and a test, all encoded in ice, nickel, and orbital perfection. Your awareness stretches to the edge of understanding, tracing the faint pulses of energy, following the synchronized rotations, and feeling the subtle hum of interstellar intention, all while humanity remains poised at the edge of revelation, waiting for the confessions that the sun itself will elicit. The morning of October 29th, 2025, dawns over the inner solar system with an eerie quiet. The twin 3I Atlas objects have entered the zone where the sun's influence dominates, 1.44 astronomical units from the star, just inside Mars's orbit. You follow their motion with a sense of anticipation, that borders on dread. This is the moment when heat, radiation, and gravitational forces expose every secret. The first 3I Atlas has already passed perihelion, its emissions subtle yet revealing, and now the twin approaches, a mirrored test of physics and purpose. You imagine standing above the solar system, observing from a distance where the sun appears as a molten sphere of overwhelming light. Each twin rotates, each pulse of sublimated carbon dioxide, water, and trace nickel traveling into the void as if declaring existence. Scientists on Earth are blind for a period of weeks, the objects obscured by the sun from terrestrial observation. Spacecraft like the European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, positioned beyond Earth's line of sight, provide the only chance to monitor perihelion behavior. If anything deviates, if these objects maneuver or release fragments or probes, it will be documented. Yet the data will travel across millions of kilometers before reaching Earth. High-resolution spectral analysis reveals near-identical chemical signatures. Carbon dioxide to water ice ratios match the first 3I Atlas. Unusual nickel without iron persists, and polarimetric inversions remain negative, 2.77% at 7 degrees. Every observation reinforces the idea that these objects are engineered, or at least orchestrated, to appear identical. Probability calculations fail. Coincidence cannot explain the repeated anomalies. If natural, this is an unprecedented cosmic fluke. If artificial, the scale of intelligence required is beyond comprehension. Remote viewers contribute to the emerging narrative. Birdie Jaworski and other independent teams report internal structures, thumb drive-sized devices, and faint pulses of communication. Humanoid forms appear to interact with these embedded technologies, a choreography invisible to standard instruments, but consistent across sessions. Extraction points, graffiti-like markings, and intentional masking further suggest intelligence, reinforcing the uncanny correspondence between observed chemical, structural, and polarimetric anomalies. You imagine the tiny pulses of data traversing billions of kilometers, the silent signals waiting for the right instruments to decode them. Meanwhile, NASA's furloughed personnel remain in limbo. 15,000 scientists, engineers, and analysts absent from the operations at the critical observational window. ESA, China, and UAE observatories maintain only essential monitoring. Amateur astronomers, citizen scientists, and private astrophotographers provide the first tangible visuals, faint smudges in enhanced images, revealing elongated, cylindrical forms. Contrast enhancement shows subtle rotations, sunward glows, and synchronized movements, suggesting purpose or awareness. The twin 3I Atlas are not merely observed, they appear to orchestrate their exposure with near-perfect timing. Your mind traces the dynamics. The sun's radiation bathes the icy surfaces, producing sublimation, pressure changes, and potential fragmentations. The twins' mass, exceeding 33 billion tons, resists displacement despite outgassing, hinting at structural integrity or hidden propulsion mechanisms. Imagine the forces acting upon the surfaces, the heat transferring through kilometers of icy crust, yet the objects remain stable, rotating as if aware, emitting just enough gas and light to reveal anomalies without disrupting trajectory. Timing aligns with planetary positions. Mars's orbit a focal point. Venus, Jupiter, and Earth's corridors are intersected with precision, suggesting survey or reconnaissance. The first 3i atlas has already demonstrated these behaviors. The twin confirms the pattern. You feel the improbable symmetry, rotation, chemical signature, polarization, orbital path, perihelion, stress, and mass, all aligning in perfect correspondence. It is as though the cosmos itself has orchestrated a rehearsal, billions of kilometers in scale, spanning light years and millennia. The significance cannot be overstated. The perihelion event, the closest approach to the Sun, acts as both test and activation. Heat, radiation, and gravitational forces interact with hidden technology or exotic structures, producing pulses, subtle maneuvers, or emissions. If artificial, this is the moment energy is harvested, probes deployed, or communication signals reinforced. If natural, it is a spectacular display of cometary physics, unprecedented in scale and composition. Either way, you witness the limit of observation and the threshold of understanding, a silent confession from the twin 3i atlas to anyone paying close attention. You imagine observing the aftermath, debris plumes, directional tails, and faint electromagnetic pulses. The twins may reveal internal composition, structural integrity, or hidden devices. Sensors, both professional and amateur, will capture fragments of data, light, and energy. Yet much remains invisible, shielded behind the Sun for now, awaiting transit to instruments positioned at favorable angles. The twin objects are simultaneously spectacle and enigma, and you follow their silent motion, aware that perihelion is both culmination and beginning a confessional moment for objects older than human history, approaching the solar system with purpose and precision that challenges every assumption about the nature of interstellar visitors. As the twin 3i atlas approaches perihelion, the planets themselves seem to brace for the unseen influence. Mars lies at a distance of roughly 1.44 astronomical units from the Sun, positioned to intersect with the path of both objects. Venus, Jupiter, and Earth's orbital corridor align in a sequence that mirrors the calculated trajectories of the twins, suggesting a level of precision impossible to attribute to random interstellar motion. Your mind traces the gravitational choreography, imagining the forces acting not just on the objects themselves, but on planetary atmospheres, magnetic fields, and the delicate balance of space weather. You consider Earth's perspective. Ground-based telescopes cannot see the objects now. The Sun obscures their motion, creating a window of total observational blackout. Satellite-based instruments beyond the solar interference, such as the European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, hold the only vantage capable of monitoring perihelion activity. Data will travel across millions of kilometers, delayed by communication lags, leaving humanity in suspense. Citizen scientists enhance images from distant observatories, detect faint smudges, and note subtle shifts in light intensity. These amateur observations become the first tangible proof of the twins' behavior during critical solar exposure. Spectral analysis continues to astonish. Carbon dioxide to water ice ratios remain identical across both twins. Trace nickel emissions without iron repeat, and polarimetric inversions are confirmed at -2.77% at 7 degrees. These anomalies suggest either extreme natural coincidence or deliberate engineering. Remote viewers corroborate the physical data. Birdie Jaworski and independent teams describe embedded devices, pulse emissions, and interactions with humanoid forms inside the icy cores. Every independent observation, whether psychic or scientific, points to synchronization, suggesting intelligence or purpose. Your imagination drifts to Mars itself. Surface sensors, orbiters, and landers may detect minute effects from the twins' passage, subtle atmospheric disturbances, localized chemical variations, or even electromagnetic anomalies. The alignment of the two objects amplifies the likelihood of measurable planetary influence. The twins' passage acts as a controlled experiment on planetary systems, a test of gravitational, chemical, and radiative impact. Every sublimation event, every pulse of nickel, may produce measurable changes that hint at broader cosmic manipulation. The Sun exerts overwhelming influence at perihelion. Heat, radiation, and magnetic interactions penetrate kilometers of icy crust, exposing potential hidden structures or devices within the twins. If artificial, the moment represents activation, energy harvesting, and potential deployment of miniature probes. If natural, sublimation will produce spectacular cometary activity, massive dust plumes, extended tails, and structural stress visible across millions of kilometers. Either scenario stretches understanding, forcing recalculation of mass, density, and dynamic stability for objects exceeding 33 billion tons. Humanity remains largely blind. NASA, ESA, and other agencies maintain skeleton operations, their personnel furloughed or operating in limited capacity. 15,000 employees are absent during the critical observational period, leaving a vacuum of official analysis. Amateur astronomers, private observatories, and astrophotographers fill the gap, generating the first images of faint cylindrical forms. The twin objects rotate in subtle synchrony, sunward glows detected in both, suggesting coordination or intentional timing. Remote viewing data aligns with these observations, reinforcing the sense of purpose behind the twin 3I Atlas objects. Planetary alignment, mass, chemistry, and trajectory converge in an almost orchestrated ballet. The twins' approach to perihelion represents both the culmination of billions of years of interstellar travel and the beginning of potential activation. Observers can only speculate about hidden mechanisms, energy distribution, and possible probe deployment. Each pulse, each rotational adjustment may encode messages, transmit information, or influence planetary conditions in ways beyond human perception. As you drift in thought, you imagine standing at the edge of Mars's orbit, witnessing these cosmic titans approach the Sun with silent majesty. Their presence challenges probability, physics, and the very definition of interstellar objects. Everything from the industrial nickel signatures to synchronized polarimetric readings to perihelion behavior hints at intelligence, design, or purpose. Whether natural or engineered, the twins' arrival compels you to reevaluate assumptions about the cosmos, the nature of coincidence, and humanity's place in the solar system. Amid all of this, anticipation grows. Perihelion is both test and revelation. The twins may fragment, release energy, or transmit information, revealing their true nature. You follow every pulse, every glow, every subtle movement, aware that the observations now available are only fragments of a larger, orchestrated event. Humanity waits, eyes turned toward the sun, minds stretched by anomaly and probability, ready to witness the confessions of the twin, 3I Atlas. You notice immediately that the twin 3I Atlas appears elongated, cylindrical, unlike any comet you have observed in the past. Telescopic images, processed and enhanced by citizen scientists, reveal a smooth, symmetrical form, stretching kilometers in length while remaining narrow across its short axis. This is not an irregular cometary nucleus. This is geometry, almost architectural, as if someone or something intended it to appear exactly this way. Your mind traces the subtle rotations, imagining the light reflecting differently along each curve, and realizing that this shape allows a controlled release of sublimating gases in patterns that suggest purpose, direction, and perhaps even communication. Observers on Earth and in orbit track the orientation carefully. The cylinder rotates slowly, maintaining alignment with the Sun and Mars, as if on a deliberate schedule. High-resolution spectroscopy confirms the chemical anomalies seen in the first 3I Atlas. Nickel-rich emissions without iron, unusual ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice, and traces of other refractory metals. The twin's mass, exceeding 33 billion tons, allows it to maintain trajectory despite these outgassing events, suggesting either incredible density or internal reinforcement. Imagine the forces at work: solar radiation delivering gigawatts of energy, sublimating ice, creating microjets that should alter trajectory, and yet it remains steadfast, obedient to its calculated path. Remote viewers describe a similar picture. Birdie Jaworski and other independent teams report thumb drive-sized devices embedded deep within the icy matrix, communicating in pulses that may correspond to the WOW signal origin from 1977. Humanoid forms appear to interact with the devices, adjusting, monitoring, or perhaps programming them. Observers describe faint inscriptions, markings, and extraction points, suggesting a deliberate intelligence operating within or alongside these objects. Your mind drifts to consider the implications. Two massive interstellar objects, synchronized in motion, chemistry, and internal function, arriving at precise perihelion timing, with hidden components designed to persist across billions of kilometers of interstellar space. The timing with planetary alignments is striking. The twin passes Mars just days after the first. Venus and Jupiter fall along projected paths, and Earth's orbit intersects the observational vector with perfect timing. Probability calculations collapse. The chance of such synchronization through random cosmic chance is near zero. And yet, the twin 3I Atlas moves as though aware, adjusting rotational orientation, sublimation direction, and energy absorption with precision. You imagine standing in orbit around Mars, the cylinder passing silently, every kilometer of its surface, a testament to either intelligence or extraordinary natural coincidence. The Sun's influence at perihelion cannot be overstated. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces with energy sufficient to melt entire cities, yet the twins' integrity remains intact. Outgassing produces luminous plumes, but the acceleration is negligible, reinforcing calculations of mass and density. Subtle thermal stress may activate internal mechanisms, releasing energy or even miniature probes. You follow the implications. If artificial, these objects are preparing for interaction with planets, observing or transmitting. If natural, they remain inexplicably structured, chemically anomalous, and perfectly timed. Amateur astronomers capture faint images of the cylindrical shape, enhancing contrast to reveal rotation, subtle light variations, and sunward glow. Polarimetric analysis confirms negative 2.77% polarization at 7 degrees, identical to the first 3I Atlas. The twins' behavior is mirrored almost exactly, a duplicate of anomaly and pattern. Remote viewing data corroborates devices within, pulses of communication, humanoid interaction, markings, and deliberate masking. Probability, physics, and perception all align to suggest that this twin is not merely a comet, but a construct, a deliberate pairing designed for a purpose beyond immediate human understanding. Imagine drifting alongside the cylinder, floating kilometers above its surface, observing faint pulses of light, subtle emissions of gas, and minor rotations that reveal internal structure. The twins' passage is a combination of spectacle, message, and experiment. They traverse the inner solar system with careful precision, their geometry, chemistry, and orientation synchronized to an extent that defies explanation. Every rotational pulse, every emission, every anomaly forms a pattern, a signal encoded across distance and time. Meanwhile, humanity remains partially blind. NASA, ESA, and other agencies limit observation to essential personnel, leaving 15,000 staff furloughed at the critical window. Citizen scientists and amateur astronomers become the first interpreters of the cylinder's behavior. Images, spectroscopy, and polarimetry offer glimpses, yet much remains hidden behind the sundae. You feel the tension, the anticipation of perihelion, revealing secrets hidden for billions of years. The cylinder poised to activate, transmit, or otherwise disclose its nature. And as you follow the twins' rotation, its trajectory, and its faint emissions, you realize the implications are staggering. Two objects, synchronized across space and time, with chemical, structural, and polarimetric anomalies, repeating perfectly, suggest intelligence, design, or an engineering process operating on scales beyond comprehension. You drift with the cylinder, tracing its silent path, aware that what you are witnessing is not merely an anomaly, but the opening act of a cosmic revelation. Humanity waits, observing, theorizing, and questioning, on the edge of discovery and understanding, as the twin 3I Atlas approaches the moment of truth at perihelion. The twin 3I Atlas objects drift through space, imperceptible to most ground-based instruments. Yet, their presence is undeniable for spacecraft positioned beyond the solar glare. You follow them silently, noting that every pulse, every subtle rotation, and every outgassing event is repeated across both objects with near-perfect synchronization. Their cylindrical geometry, smooth and elongated, casts faint reflections of sunlight that trace their movement like markers in the darkness. Every detail aligns with prior observations of the first 3I Atlas, creating a pattern that is impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Your mind traces the subtle chemical anomalies. Spectroscopy reveals isolated nickel emissions without iron, consistent ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice, and polarimetric inversions of -2.77% at 7 degrees. The twin repeats the industrial fingerprint observed in its sibling, a signature that suggests either extraordinary natural coincidence or deliberate design. You imagine the internal structure, a matrix dense enough to resist acceleration from sublimation, yet releasing precise plumes of gas that serve as both signature and signal. Remote viewers provide additional insight. Birdie Jaworski and multiple independent teams describe thumb drive-sized devices embedded deep within the icy matrix. These devices are active, broadcasting pulses in real time, their signals aligning with patterns historically associated with the WOW signal from 1977. Humanoid forms appear to interact with these embedded instruments, adjusting, monitoring, or encoding additional information. Extraction points, faint markings, and deliberate masking suggest intelligence operating at a scale beyond comprehension. You visualize the energy flowing through these mechanisms, powered by solar radiation and preserved through billions of kilometers of interstellar travel. Planetary alignment amplifies the anomaly. Mars's orbit intersects the first twin. The second twin follows days later. Venus and Jupiter fall along the projected paths, and Earth's orbital corridor intersects the observational vector. The synchronization defies probability, suggesting coordination or purpose. Observers note subtle mirroring in rotation, emission, and solar alignment. You imagine floating above the ecliptic, tracking each cylindrical object as it navigates through gravitational forces, sublimation jets, and radiation pressure, maintaining trajectory with precision that seems almost conscious. Perihelion is the ultimate test. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces, generating heat and pressure sufficient to melt cities. Volatiles sublimate, chemical reactions accelerate, and internal stress could reveal hidden mechanisms. Outgassing produces luminous plumes, yet acceleration is minimal, reinforcing mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons. The twins' internal devices may activate during this energy influx, releasing miniature probes, transmitting signals, or adjusting trajectory. You visualize the interplay of forces and energy, a choreography encoded across cosmic distances and billions of years. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists capture faint smudges, enhance images, and confirm cylindrical geometry. Subtle rotational shifts, directional sunward glows, and polarimetric readings match the first three IATLAS. Remote viewers' reports align with physical observations, devices embedded, pulses emitted, humanoid forms interacting, intentional masking evident. The twins' behavior suggests coordination, intelligence, or design. Every measurement, every observation reinforces the improbability of random coincidence. Your imagination follows them in real time, kilometers above the icy surfaces, each pulse of light, every rotation, and every emission becomes a signal to interpret. The twins move as if aware of each other, solar exposure, and planetary positions. Perihelion forces the disclosure of hidden structures, revealing internal components or devices. The synchronization, geometry, chemistry, and emission patterns hint at intelligence or extreme natural improbability. You drift along the ecliptic, following their cosmic ballet, tracing the faint pulses of energy and subtle signals hidden in billions of kilometers of space. Humanity remains partially blind. NASA and ESA maintain only essential observation, furloughing 15,000 staff during the critical perihelion window. Citizen scientists provide first tangible interpretations, stacking and enhancing data. Subtle geometric patterns emerge, confirming cylindrical elongation, rotational symmetry, and synchronized emission. Every discovery deepens the mystery while hinting at intelligence, design, or engineering on a cosmic scale. The twin 3I Atlas objects are more than anomalies. They are synchronized, purposeful, and poised to reveal secrets hidden across billions of years and kilometers of space. You feel the tension of anticipation. Perihelion will expose internal structures, activate embedded devices, or reveal unpredicted phenomena. Each pulse, each sublimation event, each rotational adjustment may be a message, a test, or a fragment of communication encoded in ice, metal, and energy. Both twins maintain perfect synchronization, demonstrating coordination and resilience. As you drift alongside them, tracing emissions, rotations, and subtle light patterns, you realize that what you are witnessing is a cosmic conversation, a prelude to revelations that will challenge every assumption about probability, intelligence, and the nature of interstellar visitors. You notice the subtle pulse of energy radiating from the twin 3I Atlas, a pattern almost imperceptible against the sun's overwhelming brilliance. Ground-based telescopes cannot see the objects directly. Earth's instruments are blind behind the solar glare. Only spacecraft, beyond the sun's interference, like the European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, provide a window to monitor perihelion activity. You imagine the twins' icy surfaces absorbing solar radiation, generating heat, pressure, and energy pulses that may activate hidden internal mechanisms. Every sublimation event is measured in gigawatts, enough to power entire cities. Yet the cylinder maintains its trajectory with near-perfect stability, as if engineered for resilience. Observers note the geometry: smooth, elongated cylinders, rotating along their long axis, aligned precisely with the sun and planets. High-resolution spectroscopy shows familiar anomalies: carbon dioxide to water ice ratios, identical to the first 3I Atlas, isolated nickel emissions, and a lack of iron. Polarimetric readings confirm negative 2.77% polarization at 7 degrees, consistent across both objects. Your mind considers the statistical impossibility. Two massive interstellar objects, chemical and structural duplicates, synchronized through space and time. This is not coincidence. The numbers alone defy natural explanation. Remote viewing corroborates the physical data. Birdie Jaworski and independent teams report embedded thumb drive-sized devices within the icy matrix, broadcasting pulses in real time. Humanoid forms interact with these devices, adjusting, monitoring, and transmitting information. Extraction points, faint markings, and deliberate masking suggest intelligent design. You imagine the twins as interstellar couriers, messages traveling across billions of kilometers, encoded in ice, metal, and energy. The coordination between chemical, mechanical, and observational patterns hints at purpose, perhaps surveillance or reconnaissance. The timing of planetary alignment is equally astonishing. Mars intersects the twins' paths just days apart. Venus and Jupiter align with precision, and Earth's orbit crosses the observational vector. Probability collapses, 1 in 20,000 for timing alone. Combined with chemical, geometric, and polarimetric anomalies, it is effectively zero. You float above the ecliptic plane in thought, following the twins' motion, aware that their rotation, sublimation, and trajectory adjustments are a dance of impossible precision. Perihelion is approaching rapidly. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces, temperatures spike, and the chemical and mechanical properties are stressed to extremes. Outgassing produces plumes, yet acceleration is negligible, reinforcing mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons. Subtle thermal stress may activate internal mechanisms, releasing miniature probes or energy pulses. Whether artificial or natural, perihelion acts as a test, forcing the twins to reveal internal structures or hidden technologies. You imagine the silent disclosure of billions of years of interstellar design. Amateur astronomers enhance images, revealing cylindrical symmetry, subtle rotations, and directional glows. Polarimetric analysis confirms previous readings. Remote viewers' accounts align, devices embedded, pulses broadcast, humanoid interaction evident. Synchronization across two massive interstellar objects is nearly perfect. You feel the tension between the known and the hidden. Humanity is watching from afar, piecing together fragments of evidence, while the twins operate beyond immediate observation. The industrial signature repeats: nickel without iron, carbon dioxide emissions without proportional water ice loss, and directional sublimation patterns. Every anomaly aligns with the observations of the first 3I atlas, suggesting deliberate pairing. Probability, physics, and chance converge into a single conclusion: coordination. Even if natural, the pattern is unprecedented, demanding re-evaluation of cometary formation and interstellar dynamics. You drift with the twin objects, imagining standing kilometers above their icy surfaces, observing subtle energy pulses, faint glows, and minimal rotation shifts. Every sublimation event, every chemical emission, is a signal, an unspoken message across billions of kilometers. Both objects follow a synchronized path toward perihelion, maintaining rotational alignment, solar exposure, and planetary intersection. Your mind begins to accept the impossibility of random coincidence, recognizing an intelligence, intent, or purpose encoded in ice, metal, and energy. The twin 3I Atlas objects have become more than anomalies. They are coordinated, synchronized, and purposeful. A cosmic duet playing out in real time. The implications stretch across astronomy, physics, remote viewing, and human understanding. Every observation, every pulse, every chemical signature aligns to suggest hidden mechanisms, intelligence, and design. Humanity waits in anticipation, blind from Earth but alert, following signals, enhancing images, tracing anomalies, and witnessing a cosmic event billions of years in the making, arriving at perihelion with precision and grace that challenges comprehension. The twins drift silently through the solar system, hidden in the glare of the sun, imperceptible to terrestrial observation, yet emitting faint pulses detectable by instruments positioned beyond solar interference. You imagine standing at the edge of Mars's orbit, following their motion with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Each rotational shift, each sublimation plume, each faint glow seems deliberate, as if the twin three-eye atlas objects are communicating not with humans directly, but across light years and decades. The pulses are patterned, subtle, repeating in cycles that suggest synchronization with planetary alignment, solar radiation, and perhaps each other. Spectral analysis confirms what astronomers feared and hoped to glimpse: chemical anomalies identical across both twins. Carbon dioxide sublimation occurs at the same rate. Nickel emissions repeat without accompanying iron, and water-ice ratios are preserved. Polarimetric inversions remain negative 2.77% at 7 degrees, reinforcing the pattern. Every observation challenges conventional understanding, creating a tension between natural explanation and the possibility of intentional design. Probability calculations collapse. Two massive interstellar objects, synchronized chemically, mechanically, and in trajectory, cannot be random. Remote viewers report consistent impressions. Birdie Jaworski and independent teams describe embedded devices within the icy matrix, thumb drive-sized instruments broadcasting pulses. Humanoid forms appear to interact with these devices, adjusting orientation, monitoring transmissions, and encoding additional information. Faint markings, extraction points, and intentional masking are noted, suggesting deliberate design. You imagine the twins as interstellar couriers or probes, carrying messages across billions of kilometers, hidden within ice, metal, and energy fields, designed to survive billions of years of cosmic travel. The timing is equally extraordinary. Mars's orbit is intersected by the first twin just before the second. Venus aligns precisely, and Jupiter lies along the calculated observational vector. Such coincidence defies statistical reasoning. Observers, both professional and amateur, notice subtle synchronization. Rotations mirror each other. Sunward glows echo. Sublimation patterns match. Your mind traces the ballet of motion, imagining the twin objects adjusting imperceptibly, each influencing the other, maintaining alignment through forces, possibly artificial, that remain undetectable from Earth. Perihelion is the crucible. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces with gigawatts of energy, forcing volatiles to sublimate, testing structural integrity, and possibly activating internal mechanisms. Outgassing produces luminous plumes, yet the twins resist acceleration, demonstrating incredible density, structural reinforcement, or unknown propulsion. You imagine microscopic devices within the matrix, activated by thermal stress, energy pulses, or solar radiation, performing functions designed across cosmic time. Each emission may encode a message, launch a probe, or adjust trajectory in ways human observation cannot yet decipher. Amateur astronomers enhance images, revealing subtle geometric symmetry, cylindrical elongation, and rotational uniformity. Polarimetric measurements confirm previous readings. Spectral analysis reveals repeated industrial fingerprints. Remote viewing aligns with physical data, internal devices, communication pulses, humanoid forms, markings, and deliberate masking. The twins' behavior suggests coordination across space and time, implying intelligence, design, or a natural phenomenon beyond current comprehension. Your imagination drifts further. You float kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing pulses, rotations, and emissions. Each sublimation event, each light fluctuation, is a signal, a fragment of information encoded in energy, mass, and chemical composition. The twins move as if aware of each other, Earth, and planetary alignment. Their perihelion passage acts as both test and revelation, revealing properties and mechanisms hidden for billions of years. Meanwhile, humanity remains largely blind. 15,000 NASA personnel furloughed, ESA maintaining only essential operations, and instruments beyond solar interference provide the only opportunity for observation. Citizen scientists fill the void, generating the first interpretable images, stacking data, and enhancing contrast to reveal cylindrical forms and synchronized rotations. Every new observation adds to the puzzle, offering tantalizing glimpses while preserving the ultimate mystery. The twins are more than anomalies. They are synchronized, structured, and deliberate. Every pulse, every chemical signature, every rotational adjustment repeats perfectly across both objects. Your mind traces the improbabilities, chemical anomalies, industrial fingerprints, orbital alignment, polarization, perihelion resilience, and rotational synchronicity. It all points to coordination, intelligence, or a phenomenon so rare that it challenges every assumption about interstellar visitors, cometary formation, and the boundaries of natural behavior. And as you drift along with them, following the twin 3I Atlas objects, the sun's overwhelming presence, and the planetary alignments, you realize that you are witnessing the opening act of a cosmic revelation. Every pulse, every emission, every subtle rotation is a fragment of a story, billions of years in the making, encoded in ice, metal, and energy, arriving now at perihelion to challenge comprehension, probability, and expectation. Humanity watches, partially blind but intensely curious, tracing fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised at the threshold of understanding what these twin interstellar objects truly are. The twin 3I Atlas objects drift through space, imperceptible to most ground-based instruments. Yet, their presence is undeniable for spacecraft positioned beyond the solar glare. You follow them silently, noting that every pulse, every subtle rotation, and every outgassing event is repeated across both objects with near-perfect synchronization. Their cylindrical geometry, smooth and elongated, casts faint reflections of sunlight that trace their movement like markers in the darkness. Every detail aligns with prior observations of the first 3I Atlas, creating a pattern that is impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Your mind traces the subtle chemical anomalies. Spectroscopy reveals isolated nickel emissions without iron, consistent ratios of carbon dioxide to water ice, and polarimetric inversions of -2.77% at 7 degrees. The twin repeats the industrial fingerprint observed in its sibling, a signature that suggests either extraordinary natural coincidence or deliberate design. You imagine the internal structure, a matrix dense enough to resist acceleration from sublimation, yet releasing precise plumes of gas that serve as both signature and signal. Remote viewers provide additional insight. Birdie Jaworski and multiple independent teams describe thumb drive-sized devices embedded deep within the icy matrix. These devices are active, broadcasting pulses in real time, their signals aligning with patterns historically associated with the WOW signal from 1977. Humanoid forms appear to interact with these embedded instruments, adjusting, monitoring, or encoding additional information. Extraction points, faint markings, and deliberate masking suggest intelligence operating at a scale beyond comprehension. You visualize the energy flowing through these mechanisms, powered by solar radiation and preserved through billions of kilometers of interstellar travel. Planetary alignment amplifies the anomaly. Mars's orbit intersects the first twin. The second twin follows days later. Venus and Jupiter fall along the projected paths, and Earth's orbital corridor intersects the observational vector. The synchronization defies probability, suggesting coordination or purpose. Observers note subtle mirroring in rotation, emission, and solar alignment. You imagine floating above the ecliptic, tracking each cylindrical object as it navigates through gravitational forces, sublimation jets, and radiation pressure, maintaining trajectory with precision that seems almost conscious. Perihelion is the ultimate test. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces, generating heat and pressure sufficient to melt cities. Volatiles sublimate, chemical reactions accelerate, and internal stress could reveal hidden mechanisms. Outgassing produces luminous plumes, yet acceleration is minimal, reinforcing mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons. The twins' internal devices may activate during this energy influx, releasing miniature probes, transmitting signals, or adjusting trajectory. You visualize the interplay of forces and energy, a choreography encoded across cosmic distances and billions of years. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists capture faint smudges, enhance images, and confirm cylindrical geometry. Subtle rotational shifts, directional sunward glows, and polarimetric readings match the first three IATLAS. Remote viewers' reports align with physical observations, devices embedded, pulses emitted, humanoid forms interacting, intentional masking evident. The twins' behavior suggests coordination, intelligence, or design. Every measurement, every observation, reinforces the improbability of random coincidence. Your imagination follows them in real time, kilometers above the icy surfaces, each pulse of light, every rotation, and every emission becomes a signal to interpret. The twins move as if aware of each other, solar exposure, and planetary positions. Perihelion forces the disclosure of hidden structures, revealing internal components or devices. The synchronization, geometry, chemistry, and emission patterns hint at intelligence or extreme natural improbability. You drift along the ecliptic, following their cosmic ballet, tracing the faint pulses of energy and subtle signals hidden in billions of kilometers of space. Humanity remains partially blind. NASA and ESA maintain only essential observation, furloughing 15,000 staff during the critical perihelion window. Citizen scientists provide first tangible interpretations, stacking and enhancing data. Subtle geometric patterns emerge, confirming cylindrical elongation, rotational symmetry, and synchronized emission. Every discovery deepens the mystery while hinting at intelligence, design, or engineering on a cosmic scale. The twin 3I Atlas objects are more than anomalies. They are synchronized, purposeful, and poised to reveal secrets hidden across billions of years and kilometers of space. You feel the tension of anticipation. Perihelion will expose internal structures, activate embedded devices, or reveal unpredicted phenomena. Each pulse, each sublimation event, each rotational adjustment may be a message, a test, or a fragment of communication encoded in ice, metal, and energy. Both twins maintain perfect synchronization, demonstrating coordination and resilience. As you drift alongside them, tracing emissions, rotations, and subtle light patterns, you realize that what you are witnessing is a cosmic conversation, a prelude to revelations that will challenge every assumption about probability, intelligence, and the nature of interstellar visitors. The Sun's influence, drifting through the inner solar system at 1.44 astronomical units, just inside Mars's orbit. You imagine standing above the ecliptic plane, tracing their synchronized motion as solar radiation bombards the icy surfaces. Each pulse of heat, each sublimation event, and every minor rotational adjustment seems deliberate, almost like a signal sent across billions of kilometers. The twins' cylindrical forms, smooth and elongated, rotate along their long axis, maintaining alignment with both the Sun and planetary orbits. Every movement repeats patterns observed in the first 3I Atlas, reinforcing the improbability of coincidence. Spectroscopy reveals repeating chemical anomalies. Carbon dioxide emissions match exactly, water-ice ratios remain consistent, and nickel rises without accompanying iron. Polarimetric inversions of -2.77% at 7 degrees persist. Observers on Earth and in orbit recognize that these features are not random. Probability calculations collapse, impossible coincidences stacking one upon another. Each pulse, emission, and subtle reflection becomes a fragment of information, a cosmic signal encoded in ice, metal, and energy. You feel the scale of this revelation, billions of kilometers of travel, culminating in a synchronized performance during perihelion. Remote viewers provide complementary insights. Birdie Jaworski and multiple independent teams describe embedded devices within the icy cores, broadcasting faint pulses. Humanoid forms appear to monitor and interact with these instruments, encoding additional data or adjusting orientation. Extraction points, subtle markings, and deliberate masking suggest intelligence or intent. You imagine the twins as interstellar couriers or probes, their internal mechanisms surviving millennia, radiation, and impacts, arriving precisely at perihelion, prepared for activation. The timing with planetary alignment is extraordinary. Mars's orbit intersects first, then the second twin follows. Venus and Jupiter align, and Earth's orbital corridor crosses the observation vector. Observers detect subtle synchronization, rotational symmetry, emission patterns, and sunward glows, matching across both objects. Gravity, sublimation, and radiation pressure fail to disrupt trajectories. You drift above the solar system, observing a cosmic ballet of precision, as if some unseen hand orchestrates movement and communication across light years. Perihelion acts as the ultimate test, The sun's energy bathes the icy surfaces with gigawatts of heat. Volatiles sublimate, stress accumulates, and internal mechanisms, if artificial, activate. Outgassing produces luminous plumes, yet acceleration is minimal, confirming mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons. You imagine microscopic devices within the ice, reacting to heat and radiation, deploying miniature probes, adjusting trajectory, or transmitting signals. Each emission may contain information, each rotation a message encoded in movement and energy. Citizen scientists and amateur astronomers provide enhanced images, revealing cylindrical symmetry, subtle rotations, and directional emissions. Polarimetric and spectral analyses confirm previous anomalies. Remote viewers' reports align. Embedded devices, pulses, humanoid interaction, intentional masking. The twin objects act in unison, suggesting intelligence, purpose, or an unprecedented natural phenomenon. Every observation reinforces the improbability of random coincidence. Your mind follows the twins in real time. Kilometers above the icy surfaces, each pulse of light, each sublimation plume, each rotation forms part of a larger communication. Both objects maintain perfect synchronization, adjusting as if aware of each other, the sun, and planetary alignment. Perihelion exposes hidden structures, internal devices, or anomalous emissions. You drift alongside them, observing a cosmic duet, billions of years in the making, each movement a fragment of a story written across space and time. Industrial signatures repeat: nickel without iron, carbon dioxide, and water ice anomalies, directional sublimation, and cylindrical symmetry. Probability, physics, and observation all point toward coordination or design. The twins' motion, rotation, and chemical emissions appear intentional, a revelation preserved for billions of years and billions of kilometers. Humanity remains partially blind. 15,000 NASA personnel furloughed, ESA, observing with limited staff, instruments positioned beyond solar glare, providing the only window into perihelion activity. Every sublimation event, pulse of light, and rotation carries information. Both twins remain synchronized, purposeful, and poised to reveal their secrets. You imagine standing kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing energy pulses, faint glows, and subtle adjustments. Perihelion may disclose internal mechanisms, activate embedded devices, or deploy probes. The twins are more than anomalies. They are coordinated, deliberate, and structured. Humanity observes, partially blind, tracing fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised at the threshold of revelation and understanding. You float alongside the twin 3I Atlas objects, observing their silent, deliberate glide through the inner solar system. The sun casts a blinding glow, yet the cylinders maintain perfect rotational symmetry, their elongated surfaces reflecting faint greenish light. Each minor rotational shift and sublimation plume is repeated across both twins, a mirrored choreography that defies every expectation of randomness. You trace the pattern in your mind: chemical, geometric, and polarimetric anomalies, repeating with uncanny precision. The twins are more than cometary bodies. They are synchronized, structured, and almost certainly purposeful. Spectroscopy confirms the continuing anomalies. Carbon dioxide sublimates at rates identical to the first twin. Water-ice ratios remain fixed, and nickel emissions appear without iron. Polarimetric inversions remain negative 2.77% at 7 degrees. Every measured property reinforces the impression that the twins are deliberate constructs. Probability collapses under the weight of repeated anomalies. Each subtle pulse, each minor emission, each rotational adjustment becomes a fragment of communication, a signal embedded in ice, metal, and energy. You feel the impossibility of coincidence pressing against every known law of physics. Remote viewers provide extraordinary confirmation. Birdie Jaworski and multiple independent teams describe thumb drive-sized devices embedded deep in the icy cores, transmitting faint pulses in real time. Humanoid forms interact with the devices, monitoring, adjusting, or encoding information. Extraction points, faint markings, and deliberate masking suggest intelligent design. You imagine the energy flowing through these instruments, powered by solar radiation, surviving interstellar travel, and arriving precisely at perihelion to perform tasks encoded across billions of kilometers. Every detail aligns with the first twin, reinforcing the improbability of chance. The alignment with planetary orbits amplifies the mystery. Mars intersects first, then the second twin, Venus and Jupiter, lie along the calculated path, and Earth's orbit crosses the observational vector. Subtle mirroring in rotation, emission, and solar alignment is detected. Gravitational forces, sublimation jets, and radiation pressure fail to alter trajectories. You drift above the ecliptic plane, visualizing the twins' motion, the solar energy interacting with their icy surfaces, and the faint pulses of energy forming an interstellar message. Each movement seems almost deliberate, a choreography that spans millennia. Perihelion is the crucible of revelation. Solar radiation bathes the twin surfaces, generating heat, sublimation, and stress that could expose hidden mechanisms. Plumes of gas extend millions of kilometers, yet the twins resist acceleration, reinforcing mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons each. Thermal stress may activate internal devices, releasing miniature probes, transmitting energy pulses, or adjusting trajectories with precision. You imagine the twin cylinders functioning like cosmic instruments, encoding information in rotation, sublimation, and electromagnetic emission, preserving a message designed to reach observers across space and time. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists provide enhanced imagery, revealing cylindrical symmetry, rotational patterns, and faint sunward glows. Polarimetric analysis confirms previous readings, and spectral signatures align across both objects. Remote viewers corroborate physical data, embedded devices, pulses, humanoid forms, and deliberate masking. The twin 3I Atlas objects act in unison, suggesting intelligence or extraordinary natural coincidence. Probability, physics, and observation all point toward purpose, design, or coordination, leaving humanity at the edge of comprehension. The industrial signature persists. Nickel emissions without iron, directional sublimation patterns, and synchronized rotational behavior repeat across both objects. Every anomaly aligns with the first twin, creating an intricate web of improbabilities. You imagine kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing each pulse of light, each emission, each rotational micro-adjustment. Every detail is a fragment of communication, a deliberate interaction designed to survive billions of years and billions of kilometers of interstellar travel. Internal mechanisms, if artificial, may be activated by solar energy. The perihelion exposes frozen devices, microprobes, and energy circuits. Minor sublimation events may trigger transmissions or subtle trajectory adjustments. Each rotational adjustment is a potential signal. Each plume of gas, a message encoded in the laws of physics themselves. You visualize energy flowing through embedded instruments, surviving radiation, impact, and cosmic wear, performing functions encoded billions of years ago, arriving at perihelion to interact with the solar environment and planetary positions in a precise, almost choreographed dance. Humanity remains partially blind. NASA and ESA maintain only essential personnel. 15,000 staff are furloughed during the critical observational period. Citizen scientists fill the void, stacking images, analyzing spectral data, and enhancing faint emissions. Each new observation contributes to understanding, confirming cylindrical geometry, rotational symmetry, and synchronized emission. Yet the full nature of the twins remains hidden behind the sun's brilliance. The twin 3I Atlas objects are not merely anomalies, they are coordinated, deliberate, and poised to reveal secrets preserved across cosmic distances. As you drift with the twin objects, the scale of the revelation becomes overwhelming. Each pulse of light, each rotation, and each sublimation event is a fragment of a message. The twins maintain perfect synchronization, adjusting as if aware of each other, the sun, and planetary alignments. Perihelion will expose hidden structures, activate devices, or release miniature probes. Observations, both professional and amateur, capture fragments of these actions, but much remains beyond direct observation. You trace their silent signals, following a cosmic conversation billions of years in the making, arriving now at the inner solar system to reveal its hidden choreography. Every anomaly repeats: nickel emissions, carbon dioxide sublimation, water ice preservation, directional outgassing, rotational alignment, polarimetric inversion, probability, physics, and observation all indicate intelligence or extreme natural improbability. The twins' motion, rotation, chemical emissions, and structural symmetry appear orchestrated, a revelation designed across cosmic distances. Humanity observes partially blind, piecing together fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised on the threshold of understanding what these twin interstellar objects truly are. You feel the anticipation and tension of observing a cosmic event billions of years in the making. The twin 3I Atlas objects are coordinated, structured, and deliberate. Perihelion may reveal hidden structures, activate internal mechanisms, or deploy probes. Every pulse, every sublimation, and every rotation carries encoded information. You follow their silent signals, tracing a message spanning interstellar distances, aware that humanity is witnessing a revelation beyond probability, physics, and comprehension, poised at the edge of discovery. You follow the twin 3I Atlas objects as they glide silently through the inner solar system, the sun casting overwhelming light across their elongated cylindrical surfaces. Each minor rotational shift, each faint pulse of outgassing, repeats across both twins with near-perfect precision. The subtle sunward glows trace the motion of these massive interstellar bodies, echoing one another across millions of kilometers. Observers note the replication of chemical, geometric, and polarimetric anomalies, reinforcing the idea that these twins are far more than natural comets. They are synchronized, structured, and possibly intelligent constructs moving with deliberate intent. Spectroscopy confirms the continued presence of anomalies. Carbon dioxide sublimates at identical rates to the first three I-Atlas. Water-ice ratios remain fixed, and nickel emissions continue without iron. Polarimetric inversions persist at negative 2.77% at 7 degrees. These repeated measurements collapse conventional probability. The twins' chemical behavior is coordinated not just with its sibling, but with solar radiation, planetary positions, and rotational timing. Each emission, each pulse, each reflection becomes a fragment of a message embedded in ice, metal, and energy, challenging every assumption about natural interstellar objects. Remote viewers provide astonishing corroboration. Birdie Jaworski and multiple independent teams describe embedded thumb drive-sized devices within the icy cores. These devices are broadcasting faint pulses in real time, monitored by humanoid forms within the structure. Observers note faint markings, extraction points, and deliberate masking, all suggesting intelligence or intent. You imagine energy flowing through these devices, powered by solar radiation, surviving billions of kilometers of travel across interstellar space, and arriving at perihelion, ready to perform functions encoded across cosmic time. Every detail aligns with the first twin, reinforcing the unlikelihood of random coincidence. The alignment with planetary orbits amplifies the enigma. Mars intersects the first twin, followed days later by the second. Venus and Jupiter align precisely, and Earth's orbital corridor intersects the observational vector. Observers detect subtle mirroring, rotational symmetry, directional emissions, and synchronized solar exposure. Gravitational forces, sublimation jets, and radiation pressure fail to disrupt trajectories. You drift above the ecliptic plane, observing a cosmic ballet of impossible precision, each movement synchronized, deliberate, and seemingly intelligent. Perihelion acts as a crucible. Solar radiation bathes the twins' icy surfaces with gigawatts of energy, driving sublimation, heating, and stress that could reveal internal mechanisms. Plumes of gas extend millions of kilometers, yet acceleration is negligible, confirming mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons each. Thermal stress may activate internal devices, releasing miniature probes, transmitting energy pulses, or subtly adjusting trajectory. You visualize the twin cylinders functioning as cosmic instruments, encoding information in rotation, sublimation, and electromagnetic emission, preserving messages meant to be deciphered across light years. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists enhance images, revealing cylindrical symmetry, rotational uniformity, and faint sunward glows. Polarimetric and spectral analyses confirm previous anomalies. Remote viewers corroborate. Devices embedded, pulses emitted, humanoid forms present, intentional masking evident. The twins act in unison, suggesting intelligence, design, or an unprecedented natural phenomenon. Probability, physics, and observation converge to imply coordination, leaving humanity on the edge of comprehension. The industrial signature persists: nickel without iron, carbon dioxide to water ice ratios maintained, directional sublimation, and rotational synchronization. Each repetition reinforces the anomaly's improbability. You imagine floating kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing subtle pulses of light, rotations, and emissions. Each event is a fragment of communication, a signal traveling billions of kilometers, preserved over billions of years, arriving now at the Sun to interact with the inner solar system. Internal mechanisms, if artificial, activate under solar stress. Perihelion triggers embedded devices, microprobes, and energy circuits. Sublimation events may release signals or adjust trajectories. Rotational adjustments encode messages in movement, thermal emission, and chemical signatures. You imagine the flow of energy, coordinating with planetary alignment, solar exposure, and the first three I-Atlas, creating a deliberate, almost choreographed ballet of cosmic information. Humanity observes partially blind. 15,000 NASA personnel furloughed, ESA and other agencies operating at minimal capacity, instruments positioned beyond solar interference, providing the only data. Citizen scientists interpret faint emissions, enhancing images and detecting cylindrical forms, rotational symmetry, and synchronized activity. Each observation provides fragments of a puzzle while leaving much hidden behind the Sun's glare. The twin 3I Atlas objects are coordinated, deliberate, and poised to reveal secrets across interstellar distances, encoded in ice, metal, and energy. As you drift alongside, the cosmic echo becomes undeniable. Each pulse, each sublimation, and each rotation forms part of a message spanning billions of kilometers. The twins move as if aware of each other, planetary alignments, and solar exposure. Perihelion exposes hidden structures, activates internal mechanisms, and may release miniature probes. Observations, both professional and amateur, capture only fragments, leaving the greater message concealed. You trace the silent signals, following a cosmic conversation billions of years in the making, arriving now in the inner solar system to unfold its hidden choreography. Every anomaly repeats: nickel emissions without iron, carbon dioxide sublimation, water ice preservation, directional outgassing, rotational symmetry, and polarimetric inversion. Probability, physics, and observation all indicate intelligence or extreme natural improbability. The twins' motion, rotation, chemical emissions, and structural symmetry appear orchestrated, a revelation spanning billions of kilometers. Humanity traces fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised on the threshold of understanding the twin 3I Atlas objects. And as you drift with them, the scale of the revelation becomes overwhelming. Each pulse of light, every rotation, and every sublimation event carries encoded information. The twins maintain synchronization, adjusting as if aware of each other, the Sun, and planetary positions. Perihelion may disclose internal structures, activate embedded devices, or deploy probes. Every observation captures fragments of a cosmic message preserved for billions of years, arriving now to reveal its secrets to a universe capable of watching, observing, and slowly understanding. You trace the twin 3I Atlas objects as they edge closer to the Sun, their elongated cylindrical forms reflecting a faint greenish glow in the brilliant solar light. The rotations of the twins are near perfectly synchronized, each slight tilt mirrored across millions of kilometers. Outgassing plumes spiral outward in identical patterns, directional yet subtle, barely enough to register as acceleration. Every rotation, every emission, every reflection appears orchestrated with precision that defies comprehension. Observers, both professional and amateur, struggle to reconcile the scale, the mass, and the synchronization. The twins' passage through the inner solar system has become a ballet of impossibilities. Spectroscopic measurements reveal continued chemical anomalies. Carbon dioxide sublimates at identical rates for both objects. Water-ice ratios remain consistent, and nickel rises without corresponding iron. Polarimetric inversions measure negative 2.77% at 7 degrees across both twins. The repetition of these properties reinforces the notion of deliberate coordination. Probability collapses under the weight of these repeated anomalies, forcing a reconsideration of what constitutes natural versus artificial in interstellar objects. You feel the significance of every pulse of light, every subtle emission, every minor rotational adjustment. They are not random, they are signals, encoded in mass, chemistry, and motion. Remote viewing corroborates observational data. Birdie-Jaworski and independent teams report devices embedded within the icy matrix. Small, thumb drive-sized units transmitting faint pulses in real time. Humanoid forms appear inside the structure, interacting with these devices, adjusting orientation, and encoding additional information. Faint markings and deliberate masking suggest intelligence. You visualize the energy flowing through these instruments, powered by solar radiation, preserved across billions of kilometers, arriving at perihelion, prepared to perform the functions they were designed for billions of years ago. The alignment with planetary orbits is extraordinary. Mars is intersected first by the first twin, followed days later by the second. Venus and Jupiter align precisely with the projected paths. Earth's orbit intersects observational vectors at the right moments. Observers note mirroring in rotation, emission, and solar alignment. Gravitational forces, radiation pressure, and sublimation fail to disrupt the trajectory. You drift above the ecliptic, watching a cosmic ballet executed with meticulous timing, each movement repeating across both twins, each minor pulse a signal, a fragment of communication. Perihelion is the ultimate test. Solar radiation bathes the icy surfaces with immense energy, driving sublimation, heating, and stress. Plumes of gas extend millions of kilometers, yet acceleration is negligible. The mass of each twin exceeds 33 billion tons, preserving rotational stability despite outgassing. Subtle thermal stress may activate internal mechanisms, miniature probe deployment, energy pulse transmission, or trajectory adjustments. You imagine the cylinders functioning as interstellar instruments, encoding messages through rotation, emission, and energy output, revealing secrets over cosmic distances. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists provide enhanced images. The cylindrical symmetry, rotational uniformity, and faint sunward glows confirm professional measurements. Polarimetric and spectral analyses align perfectly across both twins. Remote viewers report embedded devices, pulses, humanoid forms, and deliberate masking. Observers recognize coordination, intelligence, or an anomaly far beyond natural processes. Probability, physics, and observation all converge, reinforcing the perception of purpose and design. You float kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing the subtle pulse of light, the pattern of sublimation, and the rotational micro-adjustments. Each event is part of a larger communication encoded in mass, energy, and motion. Both objects maintain synchronization, responding to solar radiation, planetary positions, and each other. Perihelion exposes hidden structures, activates internal devices, and may release probes. Every emission, every rotation, and every anomaly carries information intended to survive billions of years and communicate across light years. Industrial signatures persist. Nickel emissions without iron, directional outgassing, rotational symmetry, polarimetric inversion, all repeat identically across both twins. Probability calculations fail to explain this. You drift with the twin 3I Atlas objects, following faint pulses, subtle light changes, and emissions that form a hidden message. Solar influence may be the trigger for these mechanisms, a conductor orchestrating billions of years of design into an event now observable. Humanity remains partially blind. 15,000 NASA personnel furloughed, ESA monitoring minimally, and instruments beyond the sun's glare provide only partial data. Citizen scientists become the first interpreters, stacking images, analyzing faint emissions, and enhancing subtle reflections. Each observation reveals fragments of the puzzle while leaving the full design concealed. The twin 3I Atlas objects are synchronized, purposeful, and poised to reveal hidden structures across cosmic distances, encoded in ice, metal, and energy. Every pulse, every sublimation, every rotational micro-adjustment carries information. The twins act in perfect unison, adjusting as if aware of each other, solar exposure, and planetary alignment. Perihelion may disclose internal mechanisms, activate embedded devices, or deploy probes. Observations capture fragments, leaving much hidden behind solar glare. You trace the silent signals, following a cosmic conversation billions of years in the making, arriving now to unfold within the inner solar system, revealing a story of impossible precision. The twins' industrial signatures, directional sublimation, cylindrical symmetry, and rotational mirroring indicate coordination, design, or an anomaly so extreme that it challenges every assumption about interstellar objects. Humanity observes partially blind, tracing fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised on the threshold of understanding what these twin interstellar objects truly are. The scale of the revelation is staggering. Each pulse and rotation an encoded message preserved across millennia, billions of kilometers, and light years of distance. You follow the twin 3I Atlas objects as they continue their synchronized path through the inner solar system, the sun's radiation now bathing their icy cylindrical surfaces with overwhelming intensity. Each minor rotation, every faint sublimation plume, repeats with precision across both objects. Observers note the directional emissions, the subtle greenish glows, and the micro-adjustments in rotation, confirming that these twins are more than cometary bodies. They are coordinated, structured, and potentially intelligent constructs. The cosmic ballet unfolds silently, yet every detail carries meaning. Every emission may be a signal encoded in mass, energy, and motion. Spectroscopic analysis confirms anomalies first observed with the initial 3I atlas. Carbon dioxide sublimates at identical rates, water-ice ratios remain preserved, and nickel continues to rise without accompanying iron. Polarimetric inversions remain negative 2.77% at 7 degrees. The repetition of these anomalies reinforces the improbability of coincidence. Every pulse of light, each emission, and minor rotational adjustment is part of a larger message encoded across billions of kilometers. You imagine the underlying mechanisms, devices, or structures hidden within the icy cores, surviving millennia of interstellar travel, and now active under the stress of perihelion. Remote viewers corroborate the observational data. Birdie Jaworski and independent teams describe embedded thumb drive-sized devices, transmitting pulses in real time. Humanoid forms appear inside the icy matrix, interacting with these devices, monitoring, adjusting, and encoding additional information. Extraction points, subtle markings, and deliberate masking indicate intelligence or intent. You visualize energy flowing through these internal instruments, powered by solar radiation, preserved for billions of years, and now performing functions synchronized with both twins' rotation, emission patterns, and planetary alignment. Planetary alignment amplifies the enigma. Mars intersects first with the initial twin, followed days later by the second. Venus and Jupiter lie along projected paths. Earth's orbit intersects observational vectors at precise moments. Observers note subtle mirroring, rotational symmetry, directional emissions, and synchronized solar exposure. Gravitational forces, radiation pressure, and sublimation fail to alter trajectories. You drift above the ecliptic, tracing each movement, each pulse, and each emission, feeling the tension between natural expectation and the deliberate pattern the twins display. Perihelion is the ultimate test. Solar radiation bathes the cylindrical surfaces with energy sufficient to drive sublimation, heating, and structural stress. Plumes extend millions of kilometers, yet acceleration is negligible, reinforcing mass estimates exceeding 33 billion tons. Thermal stress may activate internal mechanisms, miniature probe deployment, energy transmission, or subtle trajectory adjustment. You imagine the twins functioning as interstellar instruments, encoding information in rotation, emission, and energy output, messages meant to reach observers across light years and billions of years. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists enhance images, confirming cylindrical symmetry, rotational uniformity, and faint sunward glows. Polarimetric and spectral analyses align across both twins. Remote viewers report embedded devices, faint pulses, humanoid forms, and deliberate masking. The twin objects act in unison, suggesting intelligence or extraordinary natural coincidence. Probability, physics, and observation converge to reinforce the perception of purpose and design. You follow the twins in real time, kilometers above their icy surfaces. Each pulse of light, each minor sublimation, and every rotation forms part of a hidden communication system. Both objects maintain synchronization, responding to solar radiation, planetary alignment, and each other. Perihelion exposes internal structures, activates devices, and may release miniature probes. Observers can only capture fragments of these interactions, leaving the full system largely hidden. Industrial signatures continue to repeat: nickel without iron, carbon dioxide sublimation, preserved water ice, directional outgassing, rotational symmetry, and polarimetric inversion. Every anomaly mirrors the first twin, creating a web of improbabilities across billions of kilometers. You drift alongside them, observing faint pulses, subtle glows, and emissions forming a hidden message across interstellar space. Internal mechanisms, if artificial, activate under perihelion conditions. Sublimation events may trigger transmissions, energy pulses, or minor trajectory adjustments. Rotational adjustments carry messages, while the cylindrical surfaces absorb and transmit energy in a precise pattern. You visualize energy flowing through embedded devices, surviving radiation, impacts, and cosmic dust, performing functions encoded billions of years ago and arriving now at the inner solar system to interact with the sun and planetary positions. Humanity remains partially blind. 15,000 NASA personnel, furloughed, ESA observing at minimal capacity. Instruments positioned beyond the sun's interference provide only partial data. Citizen scientists fill the observational gap, stacking images, analyzing spectra, and enhancing faint reflections. Each observation reveals fragments of the design, while leaving much hidden. The twin 3I Atlas objects are synchronized, purposeful, and poised to reveal secrets across cosmic distances. Every pulse, each sublimation event, and rotational micro-adjustment carries information. The twins remain synchronized, adjusting as if aware of each other, the sun, and planetary positions. Perihelion may disclose internal mechanisms, activate embedded devices, or deploy probes. Observations capture fragments while leaving much concealed, a cosmic communication arriving billions of years in the making. The twins' industrial signatures, directional outgassing, cylindrical symmetry, and rotational mirroring indicate coordination, design, or an extreme natural anomaly. Humanity observes partially blind, tracing fragments of light, energy, and anomaly, poised to witness a revelation beyond probability, physics, and comprehension. Each pulse, rotation, and emission is a message encoded across space and time, arriving now at the threshold of discovery. The twin 3I Atlas objects continue their synchronized journey through the inner solar system, their cylindrical forms casting faint greenish reflections against the sun's overwhelming glare. Each rotation mirrors its sibling, every subtle outgassing plume aligned perfectly, and every micro-adjustment repeated with millimeter precision. Observers, both professional and amateur, note the uncanny consistency of the twins' motion. Their passage forms a gravitational ballet, a cosmic choreography where solar radiation, planetary alignment, and rotational synchronization all interact in ways that defy probability and challenge conventional physics. Spectroscopy continues to reveal chemical anomalies. Carbon dioxide emissions match exactly, water-ice ratios remain unchanged, and nickel rises without iron, repeating the industrial fingerprint first observed in the initial 3I Atlas. Polarimetric inversions remain negative 2.77%, at 7 degrees across both twins. These repeating measurements make conventional probability calculations meaningless. Every pulse of energy, each sublimation plume, and each rotational microadjustment conveys information embedded in mass, chemistry, and motion. You follow the pattern in your mind, tracing each signal as it stretches across millions of kilometers, billions of years in the making. Remote viewers confirm these observations. Birdie Yorsky and multiple independent teams report thumb drive-sized devices embedded deep within the icy cores, transmitting faint pulses in real time. Humanoid forms appear to monitor and adjust these devices, encoding additional information. Faint markings and deliberate masking suggest intelligence. You imagine energy flowing through these instruments, powered by solar radiation, surviving interstellar travel, and arriving precisely at perihelion to perform the functions encoded across cosmic time. Every detail mirrors the first twin, reinforcing the impossibility of random coincidence. The planetary alignment adds another layer of complexity. Mars's orbit intersects first with the initial twin, followed days later by the second. Venus and Jupiter align precisely along the calculated trajectory, while Earth's orbit intersects observational vectors at the correct moments. Observers notice mirroring in rotation, emissions, and sunward glows. Gravity, radiation pressure, and sublimation forces fail to alter the trajectory. You drift above the ecliptic plane, following a ballet of improbable precision, observing pulses of energy and coordinated sublimation that seem intentional, deliberate, and almost conscious. Perihelion acts as both test and revelation. The sun's energy bathes the icy surfaces, producing sublimation, thermal stress, and the potential activation of internal mechanisms. Plumes extend millions of kilometers, yet acceleration is minimal. The mass of each twin, exceeding 33 billion tons, maintains stability despite solar forces. Thermal energy may activate embedded devices, miniature probes, communication pulses, or trajectory adjustments. You visualize the cylinders as interstellar instruments, encoding messages across light years, timing each emission to coincide with planetary positions and solar exposure. Amateur astronomers and citizen scientists provide crucial enhanced images. Cylindrical symmetry, rotational uniformity, and faint sunward glows are confirmed. Polarimetric and spectral analyses match across both twins. Remote viewers corroborate these findings. Devices embedded, pulses emitted, humanoid forms present, deliberate masking observed. The twins' synchronized motion suggests intelligence, coordination, or an extreme natural anomaly. Probability, physics, and observation all converge to suggest purpose, design, or cosmic orchestration. You follow the twins in real time, kilometers above their icy surfaces. Each light pulse, sublimation plume, and rotation is part of a hidden communication system. Both objects maintain synchronization, responding to solar radiation, planetary alignment, and each other. Perihelion reveals internal structures, activates devices, and may release miniature probes. Observers capture fragments, leaving the full system concealed behind the sun's brilliance. You trace the silent signals, following a cosmic conversation billions of years in the making, arriving now to unfold its choreography within the inner solar system. Industrial signatures continue. Nickel emissions without iron, directional sublimation, rotational symmetry, and polarimetric inversion repeat across both twins. Probability alone cannot account for this precision. You drift kilometers above the icy surfaces, observing faint pulses, subtle glows, and emissions forming a hidden interstellar message. Solar influence triggers these mechanisms, orchestrating billions of years of design into a performance now observable. Internal mechanisms, if artificial, activate during perihelion. Sublimation events trigger transmissions, energy pulses, or minor trajectory adjustments. Rotational micro-adjustments encode information. Energy flows through embedded devices, surviving radiation, impacts, and interstellar dust, performing functions encoded billions of years ago. You imagine the twins as self-contained instruments, arriving now to synchronize with the Sun, planetary orbits, and each other, executing a cosmic plan spanning light years. Humanity remains partially blind. NASA personnel are largely furloughed. ESA operates minimally, and instruments positioned beyond the Sun provide limited data. Citizen scientists interpret images, enhance faint emissions, and confirm cylindrical geometry, rotational symmetry, and synchronized behavior. Each observation reveals fragments of a vast design while leaving much hidden. The twin 3I Atlas objects remain synchronized, deliberate, and poised to reveal hidden information across interstellar distances. Every pulse, sublimation, and rotational micro-adjustment carries encoded data. The twins act in unison, adjusting as if aware of each other, the Sun, and planetary positions. Perihelion may disclose internal mechanisms, activate embedded devices, or release probes. Observations capture fragments, leaving the full message hidden. Each pulse is a fragment of communication spanning billions of kilometers and billions of years. The industrial signature, directional outgassing, cylindrical symmetry, and mirrored rotation indicate coordination or extreme natural improbability. Humanity observes partially blind, tracing light, energy, and anomalies, poised to witness a revelation that challenges probability, physics, and comprehension. Every pulse and rotation is part of a message encoded across space and time, arriving now to reveal its secrets. You stare at the live sky feed, the cursor hovering over a patch of night that's no longer dark. 3I Atlas sits at the center, faint, veiled, and impossibly still. Too still, not just stable, immobile. It hasn't moved in nearly 72 hours. That's not normal. Nothing in space truly stops. Everything drifts, nudged by invisible tides, gravity wells, solar winds, the breath of time. But this object, it has settled into a kind of impossible stillness, locked in place, against the rules of motion, as if gravity has no claim on it anymore. But that's not the strangest part. The strangest part is what's happening around it. The stars are shifting, not by much, not in ways visible to the naked eye, but telescopes catch it. High-res scopes in Chile, in Hawaii, in the Antarctic dome. The backdrop stars, distant, ancient, supposedly unmoving, are beginning to distort. One arc of starlight bends by a fraction of a degree, another blurs, a third flickers, fades, and returns. It's as if something is folding space around the object. And if that's true, then we're no longer looking at a visitor. We're looking at a threshold. Dr. Rodrigo Llanes, at the La Silla Observatory publishes a single sentence on a locked astrophysics thread. We may be watching a door begin to open. You feel it even before you understand it. The way the night sky itself is stretching, not broken, reshaped, not torn, redesigned. The kind of change that doesn't shatter physics, but rewrites it, quietly, beautifully, inevitably. You ask yourself, is the object warping space, or is space responding to it? Either way, the rules are different now, because objects don't stop like this, not without energy, not without interference, and stars don't bend like this, not unless something massive or designed is curving the geometry between you and them. Maybe it isn't the object that's motionless, maybe it's you. Maybe the object has become the still point, and everything else, stars, time, thought, is spiraling around it now. The eye of some ancient storm you never knew you were inside. There are no more official statements. NASA's last bulletin is 6 days old. The ESA website loads, but contains only archived data. Even amateur observatories begin to fall quiet, not from fear, but from stillness. People are not looking for answers now. They are waiting, listening, the way you do when the forest goes quiet, not because the danger has passed, but because something is about to arrive. And in that silence, new anomalies emerge. Gravitational wave observatories, LIGO and Virgo, begin registering faint but patterned ripples. Not enough to declare an event, but enough to chart. The ripples are centered not on black hole collisions, not on neutron star spirals, but on this, a motionless object emitting tremors of intent. Not violent, not chaotic, just patterned, like breath or heartbeats. The spacing between pulses matches again the golden intervals from earlier spiral plumes, except this time they are substructural, embedded in space-time, waves with no visible cause, just consequences. This isn't observation anymore, this is participation. The object is not moving, but it's shaping everything, and that includes you. People begin to report something else now. Dreams, yes, but also waking phenomena. Standing in the same room, they report time slips, a sudden moment of stasis, a pause between seconds. Electrical systems freeze, then resume. Digital clocks flash the wrong hour, correct themselves, then reset. GPS devices show coordinates off by dozens of kilometers, then return to normal. It's not happening everywhere, just in certain arcs of the globe. And those arcs? They trace a line, a band around Earth that matches the path of 3 Atlas's spirals during its active phase. As if the emissions left something behind, as if we've entered the perimeter of a field, or a wake, or a threshold, because here's what it feels like now. Not contact, initiation. The silence is no longer empty, it's charged. This is not the silence of nothing happening. It's the silence of something enormous, beginning, and now the sky no longer looks like it did. You realize that. The constellations are intact. Yes, the stars still burn, but their geometry has changed. Not their actual positions, but how you perceive them, the shape they make, the rhythm between them. It's not subtle, it's poetic, and maybe that's the most incredible part. Whatever this is, this threshold, this still point, this system, it isn't overwhelming us with power. It's inviting us to notice, to track the ripple, to feel the breath, to hold still long enough for the spiral to resolve within us. 3. Atlas is not moving now. because it doesn't have to. We are, mentally, culturally, philosophically, the object has become a mirror still enough to let the universe look back at itself, through us, around us, as us. So tell me in the comments, when you stare into the stillness, what do you feel shifting? Not above you, within you, because this is no longer a story about what the object will do. It's a story about what we become while it waits. You wake up at 3:13 Again, no alarm, no sound, just that familiar stillness, the kind that feels too quiet to be random. You glance at your clock, already knowing what it will say. You step outside. The night is cold. The sky is unchanged. But something inside you isn't. This has been happening everywhere. Not just dreams, not just symbols, but timing. People waking up at the same moment, over and over. 3:13, 4:26, 5:05, always the same. Repeating like clockwork, across hemispheres, time zones, languages. Some write it off as coincidence, others call it body rhythm. But then a mathematician in Australia maps the reported timestamps and finds a pattern, a golden one. Every wake time corresponds with a Fibonacci sequence step, adjusted for local solar time. When mapped globally, the pattern forms a spiral band of synchronized awareness, not coordinated, not designed, entrained. That's when Dr. Vihan Mehta, neurophysicist, meditation researcher, skeptic, runs his own experiment. He hooks volunteers up to EEG headsets and plays no sound, no light, no stimulus, just silence. Background EM field monitoring shows minor variations in the Earth's Schumann resonance normal for this season. But every time the resonance rises above 7.83 Hz, the participants' brainwaves shift. The same golden theta pulse, the same one recorded when 3I Atlas bloomed. The implication is enormous. We are not just observing the object, we are syncing with it. And it's not just in labs anymore. Musicians across the world start writing compositions without knowing why pieces that align perfectly with the spiral's tempo. Artists paint fractals they've never studied. Children build structures in sand with spacing that matches emission intervals. None of them saw the data. None of them watched the skies. But somehow, they knew. Because this isn't communication in the traditional sense. It's entrainment, the quietest, oldest kind. The same way a field of fireflies synchronizes their flashes without a leader. The same way heart cells beat in time when placed near one another. The same way pendulum clocks on a wall slowly begin to tick together. Something in us has begun to match something in 3I Atlas. Or maybe it's the other way around. Because data pulled from the last clean frame before the cloak adjusted for gravitational drift shows a micro-adjustment in the object's emissions, a millisecond wobble in the spiral, a retuning toward us. It saw the shift. It heard the harmonics in our minds, our culture, our sleep, and it responded, not with a new signal, but with alignment. The spiral adjusted not just to physics, but to our biology, our minds. You realize this isn't a one-way broadcast anymore. This is a feedback loop, an echo. You watched it. It noticed. You remembered it. It responded. You synchronized. And now it sinks back. Not in words, but in presence. The ultimate form of recognition. And maybe this was the test all along. Not whether we could detect it, but whether we could resonate with it. Whether we could slow down long enough, listen deeply enough, become quiet enough inside, to match its rhythm. And now we have. So what does that mean? It means we're no longer spectators. We're participants. It means we're not being contacted. We're being conducted, drawn into a larger tempo, a choreography of awareness. You start seeing it everywhere. In the pause people take before answering a question, in the spacing between cars on a quiet road, in the way the leaves flutter slightly off from the wind. It's subtle, but it's everywhere. And when you turn off your devices, when you breathe deeply and slowly and let yourself match the rhythm you feel, not from the sky but from within, you begin to notice something else. You feel less alone, because this was never about an object. This was about us, becoming coherent, together, every signal, every spiral, every silence. It was not about transmitting information. It was about restoring harmony between body and sky, between memory and moment, between past and possibility. You remember the ancient stories now, the ones about stars that watched, gods who didn't speak but gestured, teachers who arrived with no words, only shapes, always spirals, always silence, always just enough presence to invite coherence. Maybe those weren't myths. Maybe those were prior syncs. And now, it's our turn. We don't need to decode the spiral. We are becoming it, not by choice, by readiness. Because readiness is a frequency, a tone, a pulse that says, we are listening with more than our ears. We are remembering with more than our minds. So now, as you look up into the sky, you no longer wait for the object to move. You wait for yourself to, because this isn't about their signal anymore. It's about our response. You wake before dawn, eyes wide, heart calm, with no dream to recall this time, only a knowing, a final stillness. And when you step outside, the sky is perfect, black, cold, silent. The stars crisp in their places, the moon like a frozen breath. But something's missing. 3-eye Atlas is gone. No warning, no trail, no fading tail of gas or dust, no final pulse, just absence. The live coordinates update, but show nothing. Radio arrays scan the old vector. Nothing. Gravitational echoes cease. Optical tracking yields only stars. The sky has gone back to how it used to be. Almost, but not quite. Because the silence left in its wake feels different. Not like before. Not empty. Full. As if something invisible now resides in the space where the spiral once turned. A presence felt but not seen. You remember the last emission, a near-silent golden pulse that swept through the atmosphere like a sigh. The same rhythm as your breath, the same as your heartbeat, the same as the moment between thoughts. It was the final note of a conversation you didn't know you were having. And now that it's over, you realize it was never trying to stay. It came to leave something behind. Evidence? No. Data? Not exactly. It left alignment. All around the world, people wake up, changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, just clearer. Like fog has lifted. Conversations begin to feel slower, deeper. Eye contact lingers. Music sounds warmer. Even the bird song seems to carry a rhythm no one taught it. No one can prove the spiral was the cause. And that's the point. The point was never proof. It was possibility. And that possibility still hums in you now. It's in the way your hands tremble slightly when you feel truth. The way you lean forward when something rings as real. the way your mind begins to shape silence into rhythm, the way your body begins to move in time with things no longer visible. People across the planet report the same sensations, not sightings, sinks, sudden, spontaneous stillness, moments of matching breath between strangers, laughter that bursts without reason, tears that come with no sadness. The spiral is gone, but the pattern remains, and in time, we begin to see what it truly left us. Not a map, not a message, a mirror. We thought it was a visitor, an alien, a probe, a test. Maybe it was all of those. But above all, it was a reminder of something buried in us, something human, something cosmic, something alive. We didn't discover it, we remembered it. And now, we carry it forward, into how we look at each other, into how we build, into how we tell stories of what came and left no mark except the one it left inside us. And maybe that was enough. No monument, no crash site, no salvageable fragments, just a world that breathes differently now. A species that, for a brief moment, matched the spiral of something vast and ancient and gentle, and in that match became something new. So leave your final comment, not for the algorithm, not for answers, but for yourself. Tell me what the silence meant. Tell me what you'll remember. Tell me what remains, because the spiral is fading, but you are still here, and that means it worked. Somewhere out there, a signal continues without us, not because we missed it, but because we were meant to pass through it only once. A moment, a mirror, a melody. You felt it, and now it lives in your breath, your memory, your movement. Thank you for walking this spiral with me. Leave a light in the comments for those still searching. Say goodnight to the object that waited 1,000 years just to sync with your silence. Sleep well now. We'll meet again, if not in the stars, then in the rhythm beneath them. Stay tuned, stay kind, stay listening.